And thank you for joining me today. We will be looking at this Sunday's Introit, and the Introit comes from John chapter 10 and also mainly from Psalm chapter 95. Let me read that for you. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. O come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. You know, the thing that strikes me about this Introit is that it's talking about the relationship of the good shepherd and the relationship that the good shepherd has with the sheep. And what it shows us is it shows that that he is in fact good. It says that the actions of the good shepherd, it's like, what does this good shepherd do? He lays down his life for the sheep. And I think about this in relationships, and I think about this with how we interact with one another. And one of the things in which we do is we wonder, well, what's it going to benefit me? You know, we may go far and beyond and do something that's really seen as strange and odd, or something we might not do for somebody else, but we'll do it for family. We'll do it for maybe a member of the church. But for a stranger, we may not do that one bit, or it's something we're not even going to consider. And yet, the one thing that makes this shepherd good is that he lays down his life for the sheep. And if you think about the relationship between shepherd and sheep, they're not even the same species. The human and a sheep. Why would you lay down, if you're human, why would you lay down your life for an animal? And yet that's the thing that makes this shepherd good. It's one of the things that makes this shepherd good. And we know this connection. I mean, Jesus is making a direct connection between himself and the action he's going to take on the cross, where he dies for the sins of all people. And so he does lay down his life for the sheep. Now, this Introit then is arranged in a particular way then. So it gives us this action of the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And then we see the response of the people in Psalms. And so what's the response? Oh, come, let us sing to the Lord, and let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Why are we singing to God? Why are we making a joyful noise to the rock of salvation? We're making a joyful noise and we're singing the praises of God because, in fact, he has laid down his life for the sake of his sheep. He continues on. Come, and let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. And I think about praise. When do we usually praise? Well, we usually give praise when we get good news, when something good has happened. We want others to know about it. We proclaim what's happened to us. Maybe we go out and celebrate. You know, the cancer's gone. So what do? We go out and we celebrate. We call our friends and family. Maybe we do a dinner. You know, we celebrate when something good has happened. And here's the call to celebrate, because why? The good shepherd has laid down his life for the sheep. We react in the way to give God praise for that, because in this analogy, we are the sheep. You know, God's the master. He's the one and creator. He's the one who has all things under his control. We're not even in the same league as him. There's no reason as to why he would even consider to lay down his life, and yet he did, which is one of the most amazing things about this. The good shepherd, the one who is above us in every single way, gave up his life for our sake. And it continues in this psalm, for the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. And I think about that strikes me, that I would even talk about above all other gods. And I think about, well, what are gods in our lives? So we make gods of many things. We try to make ourselves gods. Adam and Eve, they were cast out of the Garden of Eden because they wanted to be like God. They wanted to be the ones calling the shots. We can easily make money or things God. And yet, here's the praise that it's coming from the people's mouths, the praise that they are singing and they are saying is that God, the one God, Yahweh, Him, He is the King. He is above all the little things and unimportant things that we make as God. He's above all that. And then he uses the word king. The king gets to do what he wants. And if that is truly the case, if it is the king, then who is the good shepherd laying down his life for the sheep? He's the king. The king doesn't have to do that. And yet this one did. And then it says, oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Here's the call, the cry to come in order, the invitation to worship God. Let us kneel before the Lord, our Maker. And then the acknowledgement that we are creatures. And in many cases, that is a sobering reality that we have to come to, because we do like to think that we're more important than we really are. And yet, in this, we are the creatures. We are the sheep. Yeah, the sheep, the dumb ones, who are stubborn, who can cause harm to themselves by not even knowing it. The ones that need protection from the outside forces. Yeah, that's us. We're that. And so here it is, kneel before the Lord our Maker. And this image of kneeling, that is, laying ourselves down and saying we're not nearly as great as the one whom we're kneeling to. We're not good, we're not on their level. And we have to be able to recognize that. So there's a humility that is necessary in worship. And then finally it says, for He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture and the sheep of His hand. Where we belong. We belong where God has put us. And we look around the world and we see chaos. We see it's not a peaceful situation by any means. We kind of wonder, well, this is not a nice pasture, and yet God has placed us here to be what? To be ones who point to Him, ones who witness about Him. He's placed us there. And we know that wherever we are, He's still the Good Shepherd. He still keeps us. He still watches over us. He still protects us. And He still bonks us on the head in order to get us back or to stop from harming ourselves. Psalm 23, that very famous psalm, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. The rod and the staff were not only used in order to protect the flock from outside predators, but it was also used to hit the sheep, to get them to stop doing something that was harming them, or to get them back in line, and to do what was good and right and follow the will of the shepherd. And the same with us. What does God do? He is the Good Shepherd. He does use the rod and the staff. He does use that in order to get us back in line. But it's also described as the Good Shepherd, because ultimately the Good Shepherd, He's doing this for us, and He did something selfless, because He died in our place for the sake of the creatures He created and has all power over. The King of us came down to us to die on the cross so that we might never be parted from him. And that is the good news of this Introit and of this Good Shepherd Sunday. Thank you for joining me.